Pierre Lewis, thanks for joining me today.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at DiNovi and Associates?
Sure. So I'm Executive Director of Training and Leadership Development, and so a lot of my responsibility is coming up with trainings for our employees, new staff as well as existing staff, and also having a part in our leadership development program, which is working through our surveys and our mentoring program here in the company. So I can some weeks develop trainings, also put them out in districts, speak to parents at some points, and then the other part of my week at times will be mentoring several staff during the week on anything from how they feel about the company coming in, and as well as veteran staff who may have more complex issues in terms of how to deal with parents, how to work with CMOs, insurance companies, and clients as well.
I see. What would you say is the main function of the mentoring program?
Well, we want to make sure as our company is growing and it's growing quickly, we want to make sure that the quality of the programming is consistent, and we want to make sure that nobody's getting lost in the shuffle. So somebody who's coming into a new company, especially a consultative model like the one we have, where you may not come into the office a lot, and in fact you may only come into the office for training for the first 6 months and you may not come back in. It's really important that we feel like you know somebody in the company, you know who to go to, but you also have somebody who's invested in you and wants you to find your niche in the company and help you develop as a professional, as well as finding interest maybe even outside the company.
Yeah, I think back to some of my experiences, and in certain types of ABA providers, you can really be that lone person out there. You're part of a company, but on the day-to-day of it, you're just kind of working alone.
Right.
And you can get into this situation where you never end up in the office ever.
Right.
And you're, so I definitely think that mentoring fills that niche.
Absolutely.
Well, what you're talking about. And thinking about mentoring, how did you get into this? Was there an important mentor in your life?
It's funny you say that. So before I came to this company, I had never really thought about mentoring as something that was an important part of my career. So I had typically had supervisors, and some of them happened to be mentors and people I can confide in and people who were interested in my development inside or outside the company. But it really wasn't until I came here where Brett started really talking about this idea of having mentorship and somebody who's invested in you. Mm-hmm. So, if I think back, certainly Brett here in the company who's really kind of pushed me in some areas where maybe I wasn't even looking to go into. I've had Dr. Chris Borndren in the past, who's somebody who I looked up to. She was very professional. She kind of helped me run meetings, look professional, play the part. And then Dr. Mary Jane Weiss, a long time ago, was really the person who actually kept me in the field. There was a point where I wasn't even sure if ABA was going to be what I was going to be doing, and she really was the person who kind of talked me into staying in and starting to find a niche almost 15 years ago.
What would you say makes a good mentor?
I think a good mentor is somebody who's not only worried about your clinical skills, or somebody who wants you to develop as a BCBA, but they're also somebody who's looking to develop other areas of your life. Is there, we keep talking about a niche here, but it's just a big deal here at BDA. Is there a particular interest you have? Is there an area where maybe you haven't been spending a lot of time focusing on? And if you did, you would find that you're really good at it. So a mentor for me is somebody who you can confide in. It's somebody who you can say, I'm scared. I'm not really sure what I'm doing here. Can you help me? It's somebody who is willing to put in extra time into your career and into your development, whereas a supervisor may only be like a 9-to-5 person who's just worrying about what's going to happen on the job.
That's an interesting distinction you draw between mentor and supervisor.
Yeah.
And when I think of a supervisor, I think of someone who might have some more punitive power over you. Right. Firing power and things like that,
Sure.
but a mentor might be somewhat removed from that type of role.
I think so. I think, and sometimes I think that's why it's difficult to view your supervisor as a mentor. And I think sometimes they can play both roles, and at other times it may be an important step to find somebody who's not your supervisor who can provide that type of leadership for you.